Okay, so this is our new piece, and it looks pretty in need of care. It's been neglected quite a bit. It was left in an un-air conditioned facility and just set for many, many years. It was bought at an estate sale. But this piece is, I believe, 1930s to 1940. It's got a little bit of popping veneer here. You can hear that. That's down solid, but it's not too far gone, but it's just on the verge. We're going to try and save this cute little chest of drawers and see if we can make it pretty again. Got my crew here to help. I'm sure that they're going to be of great service washing this piece down. Just remember, if you wouldn't have it in your house, do not sell it. If you're not willing to go this extra step, then it's just not worth doing furniture, because this is what most of it is. Most of it is cleaning and prep. Not the pretty part that you get to see. It's cleaning. After getting this piece all washed down and cleaned, there was a little bit of a crack back here. So last night I put a little bit of Titebond 2 in it and clamped it up. It's good to go this morning. Now, I've done a little bit of sanding on the edge. I wanted to expose some of that wood. We know what the top's going to look like. I'm going to see how much of this I'm going to paint, how much of it I'm going to save. This is all faux. It is all a faux finish, and you can see that it's losing its adherence. You know, you can just scrape it off with your finger. So it's ready to give up hold. With Depression era furniture, they would take a wood that was not a very pretty wood, but an inexpensive wood, and faux paint it. You'll find this in furniture. You'll find it in houses on the trim work and doors. It's not a lesser quality. It's just that's what they did. People didn't have the money to spend on expensive exotic wood, so the manufacturers got very good at faux bois painting and making a wood look like a different type of wood. What we're going to do is we're going to see what we can do about fixing these drawers now. The joints are starting to give up a little bit. You can see here this one's very, very loose. Okay, we're going to try and repair this drawer. It's got some problems on its bottom, and we're going to try and gently remove the nails and staples. Somebody's put staples in. It should just have wee little tiny pins like this, and we're going to see what we can do about saving the original wood. I like to do that if possible. These little tools are great for doing stuff like this. I'll link these in the description. It's a really inexpensive set. Comes with a staple puller and 2 of these in different sizes. Got another nail here that they've split the wood putting it in. I find that if things like this happen, the best thing to do so that you don't lose any of the wood fibers is to just go ahead, repair it right away. And because we have wood on wood, we can use the Titebond and it'll hold really well. I'm going to try and squeeze some in a syringe down into this crack here. I really don't want to take that out. Wood's very dry and I don't want to damage it any further. Just got a little bit of Titebond 3 in a syringe, and we're just gonna squeeze it into that gap. I don't want to glue these joints too much until I get the drawer bottom put back in, and that way everything squares up. Got another little crack here we're going to go ahead and repair that as well. Now, there's a little bit of veneer repair here, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. The way I'm going to do that is just stick that syringe up in there, put some glue in there, and just clamp that up. I think that we're waiting now on veneer and glue ups, so we will let this dry and then we'll come back and start on the next part. And we're going to start doing a little bit of sanding and get some of this ickiness off. There's not much holding it on. It's just old varnish shellac that has turned really dark. As you can see, it just comes off really, really easily. Really easy. I mean, I pretty much can scrape it with a fingernail and it just comes right off. We're going to try and bring out some of the design. So we're just going to clean up these where they've done the carving. Looks like it was probably machine routed, and you can see kind of the jaggy edges where it has been routed. So we're going to try and clean that up some and work that into whatever we do with this. What we have here is the bottom of one of the drawers, and I've taken it out, and as you can see, it's just a plywood bottom, but it's obvious that it's had some moisture to it. I like to try and save all of the original pieces that I can on an antique. If I can't, then, you know, it can be recut and a new bottom be put in the drawer. But I'm going to attempt and see if I can get this to lay flat again and use it. So it's been cleaned very well, and so we're just going to go ahead and try and put it back together and see if we can get it flattened out. I've got some taped wood blocks here, and we're just going to sandwich them on each side. We'll just let that dry and see how that does. What we're going to do now is we're going to take the drawers apart, give them a good sand, be sure that they're nice and tidy, and when they go back in, they'll fit better. So let's get started with that. And what I've done is brought the drawer in here. I've tapped this side off. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Somebody's put a little nail in this one, so we're going to have to carefully take that out. And see, what they would do is they would paint a color on, and then they would use different stains to make it look as if it were a more exotic wood. The veneers on these are very thin. You can see, very thin. I'll have to do a bit of repair there. So if you put a sander on this, chances are you'll burn through that veneer. That's why we're hand sanding it. Okay, so we got this piece all sanded down and it looks really good, but as you can see with Depression era furniture, they would use whatever wood was available. There was no grain matching. The drawers are different colors because there's different types of wood, different cuts. The wood was never meant to be seen. It was always meant to be a painted surface. It just so happens that they did a faux bois finish on it. Even in the top, we can see that it is all oak. Some of it is a white oak, some of it is red oak, some of it is quarter sawn, some of it is cross-cut. It's just a mishmash of whatever they had available to them to make a piece of furniture the most inexpensive way possible. So, that being said, we are going to paint this piece, and I think we're going to go bold. All right, here's what we've decided to go with. We're going to go red. I don't usually do red, but I love it. And I decided we are going to go bold and cool. This is just, actually it was a mist tint that I picked up. Same brand of paint that I usually use. In a flat. So you can do this with your favorite red. And we're just going to give it a nice coat. Not too worried about the brush strokes in this because I've got some plans. I'm going to do something fun. I have a guest room that I want to do in red. I think that'll be quite nice. And I may actually keep this piece. Now, it is not like me to not use a primer, because usually I'm worried about bleed through, but if the red bled through on this, it wouldn't make a difference. So now, even when you're doing a color, you want to be sure that you've got nice crisp lines. So if you've got to tape it off to make that happen, tape it off. Don't be messy and have brush marks all up in here. And if you do get them in there, sand them out after. Don't send that out of your shop looking like a 2-year-old that couldn't keep in lines of the coloring book. That just does not look professional at all. And then somebody else is going to go behind you and have to clean that up when whoever buys it wants it redone. And you don't want that. You want them to absolutely adore that piece as long as they can. You don't want them to get home later and look in there and see that and go, ooh, that doesn't look very good to me. It just automatically makes them wonder about, you know, the quality of prep that you did on a piece. Okay, so we've got this piece all red now. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a black paint wash. And I've just taken the black paint and just mixed some water into it to where it's quite runny. And we are going to put it on the piece and then take it off. There's many different ways to do a paint wash. You just kind of have to decide what look you're going for. This piece was inspired by Katja, and I saw her do it on a table. Her piece was fantastic. She finds some great pieces that have lovely details, and I thought it would be great for this piece. So we're going to go ahead and finish this up, and we're just going to paint it on, and then we're just going to take a rag, and I'm just going to place the rag on and pick it up. This is the look that I want. To be honest with you, I haven't decided what I'm going to do on the feet of this piece, so I'm just leaving them till later, and I'll figure it out at the end. Okay, now that we have this piece all top coated and it feels lovely, has a nice sheen to it, but we need to give it a little bit of pop. What I'm using is just an acrylic that I bought at Hobby Lobby, and I've used this on other projects and it works well. And I've just got a fine little brush, and I am just going to take it through these details. And because it's top coated, you can very quickly, if you make a mistake, wipe it off. I'm going to do a bit of a design in the center, so I've taped off a bit, and we're going to get started on that. I ordered a stamp. It's a redesign with Prima stamp. We'll put a link in the description, but this is going to let me put a design in here. Put a bit of my gold paint on a plate. Got me a foam roller, and we're just going to put a little bit of paint on there. And we're just going to put paint all over our stamp. You want enough to cover it, but not so much that it's going to get goopy. And then we're just going to put it where we want our design. Just be sure to cover anywhere that you do not want paint. And it's going to leave a nicely stamped design there. Oh, hell yeah, that's badass. Now, if you get gold paint on where you don't want it, or, well, whatever color that you're using, where you don't want it, if you quickly wipe, if you've already top coated, and you quickly wipe, you can usually get it off, but do it quickly before it dries. I'm going to go ahead and paint these feet gold. I think that will give it just enough bling, but not too much. The reason I'm doing the back sides of the feet is because this sets up a bit. I don't want you to walk toward it from the side and be able to see that the backs of the feet are not finished. It's just those little details. Then we'll top coat everything again, and then we'll take a look at that final look. Kennedy Hardware, and they do a lot of reproduction hardware for antiques. Really great place to get reproduction hardware. And the points that came out of here had 2 little holes. The ones that I ordered have 1. So what I'm doing is I'm just making a starting indentation right in between where the 2 points were. And that should be just fine and keep the drawers from being slid back too far. It just gives me a start. And then we'll put the point in and keep the drawers from going too far back. The points that came out were really rusted and just didn't look very good, so I wanted to replace them. Now the thing with points is you want to be sure that you've got them in there deep enough so that when the drawer slides in on its little rails here, that it's not going to dig into the bottom of the drawer. Okay, so we've got this piece all finished. It looks fantastic. It feels nice and silky. I think that it is just enough gold to give it a bit of a splash, but not too much bling. The stamp turned out beautifully and just gives a bit of character to this piece. It has 2 coats of General Finishes top coat on it, and will be just fine. It feels nice and smooth. This piece is unique because it has no hardware. It just has little finger pulls under. We were able to save the bottoms of the drawers. So it has all of its original wood, all cleaned up and sanded down nice and smooth. Drawers work beautifully. And I think it's just enough for a guest room. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you on the next project.